Brilliance Audio presents Prophecy's End by Richard Phillips, performed by Scott Merriman. The spring equinox welcomed Kragan into the bay, ushering in the new year with brilliant sunlight that glinted off the black sand beach. The fading winter's last squall had washed it clean. He didn't wait for the half-dozen longboats to be lowered from the Vertsid Merchant King's command ship. At his summons, an air elemental lifted his 4-foot-tall body into the air and carried him from the deck of the sea vessel across the harbor. As his feet settled upon the Endarian coast, Kragan's tawny locks swirled about his face in the brisk sea breeze. He knelt to scoop up sand, letting the fine grains trickle out through his fingers. When Kragan rose to his feet, he turned to look at the longboats, filled with sailors whose strong arms propelled them across the gentle waves toward the spot where he waited. The mummified fingers of amplification dangled from his necklace to touch the bare skin of his chest, giving him an electric thrill. He knew intuitively at this point that magic was of 3 forms: time, life, and mind. And each of these forms had 3 branches, making 9 magics in all. The ability to contact and control beings from the elemental planes of fire, water, air, and earth was a branch of mind magic at which Kragan excelled. These olive-skinned seamen didn't serve him out of loyalty. The sailors on the Poklad followed Kragan's orders because they feared him. When he had first boarded the ship, their captain had challenged Kragan. The seamen had watched Kragan magically sever the man's arms, legs, and head from his torso, dumping the collection of body parts into the Bay of Paradis. But now that Kragan had set foot upon the continent where he would retrieve the final 3 shards of Landrel's trident, he needed followers whose loyalty he could rely upon implicitly. It would have been nice if he could continue to use the 200 crewmen, but that wasn't going to happen. As the first of the boats entered the shallow waters by the shore, men leapt into the bay to pull them up onto the beach. When all 6 of the vessels were secured ashore, the 10-score sailors formed up before him, trepidation shining in their eyes. Kragan spread his arms wide.
"I offer you fortunes beyond your understanding to those who would accompany me on my quest. Any who wish to go to your ship and return to Sadamad, walk back to your longboats. Those of you who will follow me of your own free will, stand in place."
For a handful of breaths, nobody moved. Then all but 5 of the men turned and hurried back toward the boats that would carry them back to the Poklad. Kragan raised his right hand. Thunder from the clouds that boiled into the sky shook the ground as lightning crawled across the heavens. Kragan's magically amplified voice boomed out above the rumble and made the fleeing men halt, terror freezing them in place. He stepped forward.
"And so you reveal your true natures."
His gaze swept across the trembling figures, mentally separating the more muscular of the sailors from those of slighter build. Kragan shoved his cupped hand higher overhead, pulling energy from the storms that had blotted out the sun, summoning chain lightning that branched out to strike the sturdiest of the sailors. When he closed his upraised fist, half of the men lay dead on the sand. Only the weaker half remained. The corpses of the 5 who had voluntarily stayed with Kragan lay at his feet. Kragan knelt before these, bowing his head slightly and touching his right hand to his brow.